Hey, what's going on, y'all? Today we are talking collections. I'm going through the YouTube channels, looking at collections, just going through a bunch of different channels, and I'm getting a lot of different people that are in the credit repair industry that are telling their clients not to pay collections. If you are somebody that received this advice, or if you're somebody that's looking for advice on how to deal with collections, this is going to be the channel for you. Today is going to be a very important video because I'm going to talk to you about how collections get on your credit report, how they fall off your credit report, when is the statute of limitations, what that's about, how is that figured, from what date. I'm going to talk to you about what I look at when I'm dealing with my specific collection. So this is going to be a little bit of a longer video, but I'm going to try and cover a lot of stuff that's out there that I just believe it's just misinformation. It may be misguided. I don't think it's malicious, but it's just not the truth. What I want to start with is it's this company CDIA. Okay, CDIA, the Consumer Data Industry of Association. Consumer Data Industry Association. They consider themselves the voice of consumer reporting. Okay, what they have done is they created a platform so that the credit bureaus and the furnishers can talk to one another using short codes. I'm going to show you these short codes. I'm going to go into a little bit of their software so that you can, or their short codes, how they talk, so that you can get an idea of what happens when you get an account shows verified from the credit bureau. You basically send a dispute and they say it's verified. You'll be able to see how that came about. This is some information that's not being told to a lot of customers or consumers, but I'm gonna open the curtain today so that you guys can see exactly what's going on. Okay, so the Consumer Data Industry Association, I'm just going to call them CDIA from now on. CDIA created a software, like I said, to allow the furniture and the credit bureaus to talk with one another. That software is called the Metro 2. Okay, Metro 2 software. This software allows them to talk using short codes. When there is an item that's listed on your credit report, they're using short codes to list these items on your credit report. Now, if I'm scrolling through too fast for you, don't worry. Just go in the description, click the link, and download it for yourself. Okay? It's not going to be some information where you got to put your email address in. I just want you guys to have this information so that you guys can get an idea of how trade lines are being reported onto your credit report. When something is paid in full, they'll give a code 13. When something is voluntary surrender paid in full, 61. So they use these short codes to talk with one another about specific trade lines. Now, the CDIA also developed a system. Now, whenever you send a dispute letter, right, we all know this. When you send a dispute letter to the credit bureaus, they're given 30 days to get an investigation. And how is that investigation done? Okay, that investigation done is through this EOSCAR system. This EOSCAR system, these are the short codes that is given to the furnisher from the credit bureau and back to the credit bureau from the furnisher. Okay, they use these short codes. So if you dispute an item, the credit bureau will send a short code, usually three digits long, two to 3 digits long, to the furnisher saying this customer is saying this item is not theirs, because you send a dispute letter saying this isn't mine. The furnisher looks at it and they send a short code back to the credit bureau, basically stating account verified. And you will have, I'm going to give you a link for this so that you can look through and get an idea of what all these short codes are. Now, why is it being done that way? The CDIA, this company here, is they, like I said, they tout themselves as the voice of consumer reporting. However, their consumer is not us. Their consumer, in all actuality, is the credit bureaus and the furnishers. Okay, because they pay an awful lot of money to go through their training. Like if you go through their education services, like any of their training, training on Metro 2, you can look and see there's these trainings are cheap. They are not cheap. They're quite expensive. And so if you're a furnisher, they teach you on how to deal with collections with the credit bureaus. If you're a furnisher, they teach you and train you how to send that data to the credit bureaus. And so you have to pay for these trainings to get that information, because you got to know how to send the data. This is important to know because now you know what's going on when you're disputing an item. When you're disputing an item, it's a bunch of short codes that's being sent back and forth between the credit bureau and the furnishers. Just keep that in mind. Now, one thing that I look at, there's 5 things when I have a collection account on my credit report that I look at. All right, and I'm going to go over the 5. I'm going to try and make this video really quick, but I'm going to go over the 5. The very first thing that I look at is the date of first delinquency. The second thing that I look at is the date of last activity. The third thing that I look at is what type of an account is this? Is it a medical collection? Is it a original creditor collection? Is it a Federal Perkins student loan? What type of account is it? And that's going to help me determine which route I want to take on what I want to do with this account. The fourth thing that I look at is how much is the account? How much is it? Is it a small amount? Is it a large amount? And the fifth thing is, can I pay it? Can I pay this collection account? Now, when I get in a collection account, those are the 5 things that I look at. Most people are telling you, send dispute letters, right? Send a dispute letter, send a dispute letter, which sending a debt validation letter first, that might be important because you're trying to see if they have the right to collect on this specific debt. If you're walking down the street and let's say hypothetically, I walk up to you and I go, hey, you owe me $500 for your cell phone bill. You're going to ask me, who are you and who gives you the right to collect on my bill? That's what a debt validation letter is about. Do you, third-party collection company, have the right to collect on this debt? Just because somebody calls you and say, hey, Kenny, you owe us $300 for this Capital One bill. I might owe it to Capital One, but who are you? Who are you to collect on this debt? And that's what the debt validation letter is about. It's just getting everybody to understand, do they have the right, whether it's the third party or the original creditor, to collect on this debt? Do you have all the documentation in order for you to collect on this debt? If you don't have my original signature or original documentation or authority to collect from the original creditor to collect on this debt, and you can't prove that to me, we're not talking. I'm not admitting this account is mine. I'm not saying this account is mine. If a third-party collection company calls me on an item and they ask me, hey, Kenny, is this account is yours? I'm going to ask them to send me via mail all the information that they have. I'm not admitting the account is mine. I'm not validating anything. I'm not saying anything. And I'm going to go over why that's so. So never admit that a debt is yours to a third-party collection regardless. If they're calling you and you could look at that item and you know that Capital One account is mine, I'm going to tell them, hey, look, if you can, all the information on that account, can you please send it to me via mail, certified mail if you want. but I need to see that information that you have. I need the original documentation. I'm also going to need your bonding to show that you have the authority to collect in my state. Is that okay? Can you send me that information? And they have to send you that information. You don't have to admit at fault on any debt. That's the very first step on dealing with collections. And I know there's a bunch of people that say, don't talk to any collection companies. And that's because they're not going over all the things that I'm about to go over with you right now. When you have an account that is a collection item, it's 7 years and 180 days. Everybody wants to know, when is this collection going to fall off my credit report? If you don't pay it, if you don't do anything, or if you pay it, it doesn't matter what you do with the account. It has nothing to do with when it falls off your credit report. A lot of people don't go over this enough. The important thing to understand is there's something called the date of first delinquency. If you have a collection account on your credit report, it has a date of first delinquency. It may not show it on the credit report, and it might not show it in the credit monitoring service, but it does have a date of first delinquency. You may have to call the credit bureau to get that information, but you can get the date of first delinquency. You can get it from the credit bureaus, whether you write them an email or if you want to write them a letter or call them. You have to know the date of first delinquency, because that is going to tell you when that item is going to fall off your credit report. There's a lot of people that say if you admit the account is yours, then that's going to prolong the date of first delinquency, or it's going to prolong that 7 years. And that's not true. It doesn't prolong the 7 years. It prolongs the statute of limitations, but we're going to go in that in a little bit. So regardless, and I don't want to just sit up here and you guys, I tell you these things and you guys don't, like, who am I? Why would I tell you something and you believe it? So I like to use references so that you guys know when I'm telling you something, it's 100% truth, and nobody can get on my YouTube channel and say, Kenny, that's not true, right? I'm tired of people getting on my channel telling me, oh, Kenny, no, you can't do it this way. You can't. Listen, when I tell people to do something, chances are there's a lot of research that's been done in order for me to tell you this information. I'm not like a lot of people where I listen to something and I go, okay, I'm going to go tell my clients that. I'm going to research it. I'm going to study it. And that's the information that I'm going to give to you guys. Here's the Experian blog. If you go through here, paying off charged off accounts will not restart 7-year time frame. And I'm just going to read this excerpt a little bit so that you guys can get an understanding of what I'm talking about. And it goes, if a charged off credit card is about to drop off and I pay it off, can the creditor restart the 7-year time frame on my report? So here's a person that sent them a question. If the card is charged off and it's about to drop off and I pay it, so let's say it's 6 years old and I pay it, will it restart my 7 years? Okay, now here's the answer. Paying your charged off account would, it would result in the account being updated to show paid. Okay, so they're going to update it. It's going to show paid for the time remaining. But it would not restart or extend the amount of time the item will remain on your credit report. Anybody that says that paying a collection restarts the 7 years, you see that it's wrong. You could go through the CDIA. In fact, the CDIA sent a bulletin to a lot of the furnishers that told them, if you're a third-party collection and you pick up an account, you cannot reset the date of first delinquency. The date of first delinquency never changes. Let's say I'm a collection company. I couldn't collect on the debt, so I sell it to another collection company. Just because that second collection company picks it up, it doesn't mean they get to change the date of first delinquency. The date of first delinquency stays the same regardless. Okay, it never changes. Now that we have that out the way, And we debunked that whole idea of paying a charge off is going to extend the 7.5 years. It's you couldn't get further from the truth. So if you're somebody that's putting that information out there, let's talk. All right, let's just talk, and I can explain it to you a little bit further. The date of last activity is completely different from the date of first delinquency. Remember when I talked to you about the Capital One situation, why you do not want to admit anything when you're talking to a collection agency. If they're talking to you and they're trying to corner you, just tell them, listen, I'm not familiar with the account. Send me the documentation. Maybe it might re-jog my memory. But as of everything right now, I don't know what you're talking about. Just send me everything you have, and then I'll give you a call. I'll contact you back. The reason being is there's something called the date of last activity. If I was to admit that account was mine, the date of last activity resets to 0. So the date of last activity, like if I make a payment, that's an activity. If I admit an account is mine, that's an activity. If I come to an agreement, like let's say I don't have the money to make a payment, but we agree the account is mine and I'm going to make a future payment, that could reset the statute of limitations. So that's why you never talk with collection companies. You tell them to send the information because you don't want to jam yourself up. You don't want to reset the statute of limitations. And I'm going to give you an example. Let's say today I'm late on my bill, and 7 years or 6 years from now, the account's going to fall off pretty soon. 6 years from now, I tell them, I get a call from a collection company. Okay, I get a call from a collection company and they say, hey, Kenny, is this account yours? And I tell them, yes, this account is mine. This Capital One is mine. And they go, okay, well, do you think you could make a small payment towards it? We see that it's $1,000. Do you think we can make an agreement for you to start making payments on it? And we'll just take something as small as $5 today, and we could set up an arrangement, maybe next month. What they're doing is they're trying to get to reset that date of last activity. So it's still going to fall off 1 year plus 180 days. I agree to make the payment. It resets it, and now they have a new set of time as far as the date of last activity resets the statute of limitations. I hope I explained that so that you understand it. I know it's a lot of information, but I want to give it to you so that you understand what I'm trying to say. And sometimes for me, it's hard to explain it to you so that you can receive it. So 6 years, Capital One sells the collection account to another company. The other company calls me. They say, Kenny, is this account yours? I agree. That resets the date of last activity. Now, a year and 180 days, that account is going to fall off my credit report. And I say, well, since it fell off my credit report, I'm not paying it. And I just stopped paying it. Well, since we reset the date of last activity, now they can come after me, right? Now they can sue me. Now they can take me to court because I reset the date of last activity. Even though the account is off my credit report, I'm still now legally bound to pay that debt because I'm within the statute of limitations because it reset. Let's say it's a 4-year time period of statute of limitations. It reset it. That's why you want to be careful when you say things to a collection company. If they're calling you, just make sure you tell them, please send me all the information, and then you could game plan from there. If that account is yours and they have all your original documentation, right? Let's say this collection company has all your original documentation. You're just not going to pay it? Like, if it's within the statute of limitations, what are you going to do? Not pay it? Get sued? Like, how are you going to handle that? And that's what frustrates me when I listen to people that are in the credit repair industry that are telling people a blanket statement, don't pay the collection. there may be times where you have to pay that collection. Okay, there may be times where you can negotiate a pay for delete. Let's say it's that $1,000 Capital One bill, and I ask them, okay, so if I give you $1,000, right? I'm not saying this account is mine. I'm not familiar with this account. But Mr. Third Party Collection Company, if I pay you $1,000, can I get an agreement that you're going to delete this item off my credit report? It's that simple. Now, number 3 was, what type of an account is it? Now, the reason why it's important to know what type of an account, like I said, it's knowing what's being sent from the CDIA to furnishers. When the CDIA is telling furnishers that if you have a medical collection and it's paid, it might be easier to just take it off the credit report. This is some of the information that's being sent from the CDIA to the furnishers that say, if it's a paid medical collection, you might want to pay it. Also, speaking on paid medical collections, there's several different FICO systems. I know I'm giving you guys a lot of information, but I just want you guys to have this information. There's several different FICO algorithms. You got FICO 2, FICO 5, FICO 8, FICO 9. Like, there's several different ones. In the FICO 09, the most recent FICO algorithm that they have that is actually gaining traction. This FICO algorithm is actually gaining traction with a lot of financial institutions. This FICO algorithm, paid medical, and also paid collections don't have as much weight on your credit report as the FICO 08 did. So chances are, if you pay that collection and a bank is using a FICO 09 algorithm, your credit score is going to be higher with that bank than it would be with a bank that has a FICO 08 algorithm, because each bank could use whatever system they want to use. You could use the FICO 02 if you want to. In fact, a lot of automotive companies use the FICO 02 algorithm. But just knowing these things, it lets you know how you want to attack your collections. There's no blanket answer that I could give you on how to deal with collections, except validate the debt, of course. Send me the documentation. After that, there's several different ways that you might want to attack the account. If you could pay it and get a pay for delete, that might be the easiest thing for you to do. I can't tell you don't pay that account. Or if you just want to pay the account so that it shows paid on your credit report, at least it's paid on your credit report, and there's a better chance for you to get a higher credit score, a better credit score if you pay the collection, because there's certain FICO algorithms, like I said, the FICO 09, where it gives less weight to paid collections. So, like I said, man, I know I gave you guys a lot of information today. I know I went a little bit long. I'm going to stay in the collections. I'm going to keep making video on these collections. I might, put a video in here or there about other things, but anybody that's giving you the information, don't pay your collections. Ask them why. Because they can't give you anything to back it up. Don't pay your collections. You might want to stay away from them. Okay, you might want to just look at them and say, maybe this might not be the person I want to deal with, because there's several different ways that you could deal with a problem. If you have a broken arm and the only way that I heal people is through Robitussin, all I do is pour Robitussin on everything. You got a broken ankle, pour Robitussin on it. Whatever it is, then I may not be the doctor for you. Maybe you feel like maybe I need somebody that's actually going to take some x-rays. Somebody that's going to actually look at the problem, try and diagnose it, and give you the best remedy for the problem. And that's what I wish more credit repair specialists would do, is actually look at themselves like attorneys. Look at yourself like a CPA, and actually look at each collection and say, what does the law say? What are our options? What can we do? Put all the options on the table and then go from there. But what you have a lot of people, credit repair companies do is, hey, I got this collection item. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send a dispute letter. And that's it. That's like the only thing they have in their gun. And they don't have any other solution to the problem. Not just because that's the only thing they have. It's because they don't update their education. They're not reading the bulletins from the CDIA. They're not looking at all this information. They're not researching to give you the best solution for your problem. And like I said, I just wish that there was more people out there that would take this a little bit more serious. All right. So you guys have a wonderful day. I'm going to catch you guys on the next video, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.